immigrant, the refugee that comes to the country with their skills, their knowledge, they're not just outsiders, but they're bringing valuable skills, they're doing valuable things in society. We started Project Feast as an organization. It's using food to not only bring people together around the table and enjoy a different culture, a different cuisine, but to have it be directly more empowering. How can we make that process of becoming an American a little bit easier while not giving up our identities? Food was the answer to that question. There's magic in our kitchen.
In 1996, my brother worked with the UN, and Saddam announced whoever is working with the UN, no matter what they're doing, you'll be executed with your family on TV. It was a almost 24-hour evacuation that almost 10,000 families end up getting out of northern part of Iraq. Kurds and Arabs, which we are Kurds. We spent 2 nights in Turkey, and we end up into Guam. We were at the camp there, which is the army base. We didn't have passports. Nobody knew they would be gone, and we were there almost 2 months and a half. When we first got here, it was November 19th, 1996, and we moved to our apartment from the airport, and we had no electricity, which it was fine. We were used to it, you know. So my mom had to cook in the fireplace, which it was boiled egg and potatoes. Back home, we had a big house. We had a lot of rooms, a lot of, a living room separately, a visitor room or a guest room separately, a huge kitchen.
I remember first time we went to DSA, we were online, and the guy said, well, here's for poor people, come here and ask for food and money and my mom sit and cried, and all of us cried, like, we were giving people and we're not poor. And it's like, no, you guys are poor.
We Iraqis and Kurds have been through a lot, so you learn from the wars that you've been through and all that.
Part of our culture, we always cook extra. Maybe somebody will come by, because in our culture, you don't have to call to come by for lunch or dinner. So we end up taking that food to school, to our office, or to give it to our friend or neighbor. And one time, me and Zozan, we had Egyptian group. We made lunch for them, and they love it. So she recommended us to a person called Jambi from the Food Innovation Network and Starzone. So she introduced us to Project Feast.
I'm Veena Prasad, the founder of Project Feast, a non-profit social enterprise that empowers refugee and immigrant cooks.
So Project Feast, it's not only to help immigrants and refugees get a job in the food industry because they are already good home cooks, but also to give them a way of holding on to their cuisines and their cultures and enabling them to share those foods with the broader community. We started doing cooking classes and little food events. We started catering a few months later, and we also started the first workshops, and those were food handler workshops.
Some of them were like, but I don't know how to hold a knife. I've never cut anything. I'm like, it's okay. Just hold it like this. I was just doing it the same way you were doing it, trust me, at home.
Through Project Feast, you take classes, you graduate, then they do classes for the community. Then they will ask you to come and be the chef and cook for the people.
We would all cook together. It was amazing, like how it brings everybody together.
There's a lot of immigrants that run restaurants. I think in a way immigrants are welcome in the food industry, but we don't see them advancing beyond entry-level jobs in the food industry. So I think getting a job is not hard, but advancing is the challenge that we're tackling with this intensive culinary apprenticeship program that we launched. What we saw with our early 6-week commercial kitchen basics training that we were doing, the participants that graduated from that program, the feedback that they gave us was, we would have appreciated more time with Project Feast, we would have loved to learn more cooking skills, we would have loved more practice. And so about a year, actually more than a year ago now, we started looking for a different space. In case we want to have a hardline phone, it'd be good to have the option.
Yes.
So it took us a good year to find the right kind of space. We wanted to have a cafe, a retail component to the space. It needed to be in South King County, and it needed to be affordable. So it took a long time to find this space.
Okay, let's talk about making the menu sound more appetizing. Chicken soup. Is it a thick soup? Is it a thin soup? Noodle soup? Dumplings? Vegetables? What can we change? How would we put this? Working with immigrants and refugees, there's even more of an impetus to teach them because it's not just about cooking skills, right? It's about acclimating to life in an American kitchen.
I know how to cook, but I never knew how to, write my recipes.
We never measured until we met Veena. She was like, how much rice is that? I'm like, I don't know. I just put, 2 cups. How much water did you put in? Just above it. How much salt? I don't measure. I just put it in there, My mom, until now, she cooks like that. It comes out excellent. She's like, but you're gonna do catering. It has to. You have to measure everything.
When we first started and we were catering, it was our catering menu reflected the dishes of our participants. It was always international. So we've just kept that going.
I have a friend told me, why don't you make it Americanized? I said, well, I'm not doing Americanized food. I'm doing Kurdish and Arabic food, Iraqi food.
My experience as an immigrant and knowing how challenging it was for me, I think I've always had that experience in the back of my mind and in my heart. I grew up in South India in Bangalore. My family moved to the US in '94. As a teenager, coming in to senior year of high school was a very challenging process. I was a really shy kid, and so it took a few years to feel like I belonged. Growing up in India, the focus for me was all about getting good grades, was all about education, and so I didn't really spend a lot of time. I spent a lot of time eating, and I love food, but I didn't really know how to cook a lot of the foods. And so when I lived away from my family and I wanted Indian food and the restaurants were not quite cutting it, I just had to learn.
Veena, she was like with us the whole time, like leading us, telling us what to do. We had the first catering with her at the kitchen, the commercial kitchen we did. And our first customer was through her, actually. We cooked and we delivered the food to the family, and we got our first check from catering. And we're like, Veena, we have to do something for you. She goes, no. So Veena was there with us. She never left us alone. She was a step by step and slowly.
This is a big day. Yeah. But here we are.
Congratulations.
And then tonight the beef is okay? Yeah.
Can you believe we are here?
I know, it's so amazing.
Yes, I have found my sweet spot. This is my dream job.
And then this was for the pita bread.
The cafe gives us the possibility to have an extensive training program that gives people scope for practicing all kinds of skills, for learning all kinds of techniques and so on, of learning how to run a food business, in part by helping to run a small food business, It gives us the space for selling the food and recouping some of our costs. But going back to our mission, it also gives us the ability to share the various cuisines of our participants, past and present, to the broader public.
We have a borscht on the menu, and that is Irina's recipe. She taught us how to make that borscht, and she's very particular. You cut the beets, you do not grate them.
So my specialty was making tamales. I'm from Mexico.
Kaiwat, the beef dish with the injera, that is something that Tanaye made because we wanted to have something that reflected her heritage.
We call it kaiwat. I put in onions, garlic, ginger, tomato, and berberry. Berberry, that's spicy. We like spicy, Ethiopians.
Having lived in Seattle for a while, I know how much Seattleites enjoy food from around the world. So please grab some plates and help yourself and tell me what you think. Even in liberal Seattle, even in the liberal Pacific Northwest, we still see a lot of room for welcoming immigrants and refugees. Not everyone has had Iraqi food before, not everyone has had a Burmese dish before, not everyone has had something from the Ukraine before, but we're unusual in that we have such an international menu. And so I think it'll take time for people to understand that we're a little different, but we enjoy explaining what that is about.
I don't know that it's obvious to anyone, and it doesn't have to be, but I hope that when people come here and eat, they understand that a lot of love and pride went into the food.
It's been amazing to see people's journeys. It's been amazing to be part of their journey.
I think you're like from small dream is becoming bigger and bigger.
I hope to get my own restaurant.
We also want to do a cafeteria and espresso and deli in Tacoma.
So we're getting our license this month, thanks to them. And very soon we're gonna work with Veena, hopefully, at the kitchen, at the cafe. So I was telling her, you should sell my baklava. But is it gonna be under my business name or your business name? She was like, so we have to figure that out.
I just feel so proud of them and thankful that they've taught me so much as well.
Here, all of them, they are my family, like family. I need to say thank you. Thank you so much.